You know, you'd think the most horrifying secrets are buried deep in the woods, right? But sometimes they're hidden in plain sight, just driving around. And all it takes is a routine traffic stop to bring them into the light. That's exactly what happened in the absolutely chilling case of Amanda Keller.
It all kicked off with this one sentence. Can you imagine? During a totally normal stop for speeding, the driver, Amanda Keller, looks at the officer and says, "You'll see me on the news tomorrow." I mean, what a bizarre, prophetic thing to say. The officer probably thought she was just being difficult. He had no idea how horribly true those words were about to become.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Picture this. It's late on a quiet, dimly lit road in Riverview County. The date is July 17th, 2022. An officer is on his usual patrol, and he clocks a car going just a little bit over the speed limit. A minor infraction, something he's probably seen 100 times. So the first few minutes? Totally by the book. It's 11 p.m., Officer Moore spots the speeding gray sedan. 2 minutes later, he's got the car pulled over on Hawthorne Avenue, and by 11:03, he's walking up to the driver's window to speak with Amanda Keller. He's expecting a completely routine interaction, license, registration, the usual. But this is the exact moment when routine goes right out the window. Now, the first thing that tipped him off wasn't something he saw. It was something he smelled. As soon as Officer Moore got close to that driver's side window, he was hit by this odor. And it was so powerful, so wrong, that it immediately screamed at him, this is not a normal situation.
Just a smell. That's all it took. But it was enough. It just hung there in the night air. And it was the first absolutely undeniable signal that something inside that car was terribly, terribly wrong.
And we're not talking about old fast food wrappers or a forgotten gym bag here. No, this was strong. It was rotten. It was the unmistakable, gut-wrenching smell of decay. It's a smell that, once you smelled it, you never forget. And it instantly put that officer on the highest alert possible.
And as the stop continued, the red flags just kept popping up, one after another. First, Amanda Keller doesn't have a valid driver's license, just a state ID. Okay. Then, a quick records check shows the car isn't even registered. And then, the real kicker. The license plates on the car? Totally fake. I mean, every single thing the officer checked was another violation.
So, with this many problems, department policy is crystal clear. That car is getting towed. And this is the moment Amanda Keller's whole demeanor just shatters. She completely loses it. She starts begging, crying, pleading with the officer not to take the car, saying she's living out of it. Her reaction was so desperate, so over the top, that it just made the officer's suspicion go through the roof.
Okay, so before the tow truck arrives, standard procedure says she can grab her personal stuff out of the car. So she goes to the back, and she opens the trunk. And the second that trunk lid lifts, the source of that god-awful smell becomes sickeningly, horrifyingly clear. So what did he see? The trunk was just crammed with these big plastic trash bags, packed in there super tight. The smell was now just completely overwhelming. He could actually see flies buzzing around, even maggots. And underneath all that horror, there was a single black suitcase. That's when he knew he needed backup, and he needed it now. When the backup officer, Marcus Hill, got to the scene, Officer Moore just asked him to walk past the open trunk. He didn't say why. And Officer Hill's reaction was instant. It was visceral. He just said, "That's not clothes. That's something dead." Just like that, their absolute worst fear was confirmed. It was the smell of death.
So they knew. They knew something deceased was in that trunk. But the question that was just hanging heavy in the air was what? Or, more horrifyingly, who? What on earth was Amanda Keller so desperately trying to hide in that trunk?
The answer is just, it's beyond comprehension. After a lot of crying and stalling, Amanda finally let them open the suitcase. Inside were the decomposed remains of a small child, a little girl. The scene was so horrific, so heartbreaking, that even these seasoned officers were completely shaken to their core. And just when you think it can't possibly get any worse, it does. The officers did a more thorough search of the trunk, and they found a large plastic bin. And inside that bin was a second body, the remains of a young boy. Two children, hidden in the trunk of that car.
From there, the investigation moved to the police station. And as you can imagine, Amanda's initial stories, that she thought it was a dead animal, that she had no idea, they all just fell apart. The evidence was overwhelming, and her lies were unraveling fast. A confession was inevitable.
Investigators started digging, and the backstory they uncovered is just heartbreaking. These two kids had been in Amanda's care for almost 2 years, but they were ghosts. They were completely invisible. They were never enrolled in school. They had no medical records. No one in their family or community ever reported them missing. Think about that. They had fallen so far off the grid that there was absolutely no safety net, no system in place to even know they were in danger, let alone protect them. And this is where the lies meet the horrifying truth. Look at the difference here. Amanda's claim? She said the little girl's death was an accident, that she had a fall. She said the little boy just fell asleep and never woke up. But what did the medical examiner find? A much, much darker story. Homicide. Both of them. The girl's death was the result of chronic abuse and neglect. The boy's, severe malnutrition. These weren't accidents. This was murder.
So, with the full, awful truth out in the open, the case moved into the legal system. The goal now was to find some kind of justice, some accountability for these two children who had been forgotten by the world until that traffic stop.
And the charges brought against Amanda Keller were, as you'd expect, incredibly severe. They really reflect the absolute horror of her actions. We're talking multiple counts of first-degree child abuse resulting in death. On top of that, neglect of a minor and improper disposal of human remains. In the end, this case never actually went to trial. In March of 2025, Amanda Keller pleaded guilty to everything. She accepted responsibility, and she was sentenced to life in prison. She will face the consequences of what she did for the rest of her life.
And I want to leave you with this final thought, because it's what's so truly haunting about this whole thing. Some crimes aren't hidden in the dark. They're driven around, waiting for someone to finally notice the smell. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What other horrors aren't buried in some remote location, but are right out there, in plain sight, just waiting for one person to finally notice something is wrong?